Welcome back to another hsebox.com video. In this video, we will talk about 6 recommendations on how to improve your hazard identification and assessment. One of the root causes of workplace injuries, illnesses, and incidents is the failure to identify or recognize hazards that are present, or that could have been anticipated. A critical element of any effective safety and health program is a proactive, ongoing process to identify and assess such hazards. To identify and assess hazards, employers and workers should collect and review information about the hazards present or likely to be present in the workplace. Conduct initial and periodic workplace inspections of the workplace to identify new or recurring hazards. Investigate injuries, illnesses, incidents, and close calls/near misses to determine the underlying hazards, their causes, and safety and health program shortcomings. Group similar incidents and identify trends in injuries, illnesses, and hazards reported. Consider hazards associated with emergency or non-routine situations. Determine the severity and likelihood of incidents that could result from each hazard identified, and use this information to prioritize corrective actions. Some hazards, such as housekeeping and tripping hazards, can and should be fixed as they are found. Fixing hazards on the spot emphasizes the importance of safety and health and take advantage of a safety leadership opportunity. Let's jump into the 6 recommendations to ensure you properly identify and assess the hazards in your organization. Number 1. Collect existing information about workplace hazards.
Information on workplace hazards may already be available to employers and workers, from both internal and external sources. You should collect, organize, and review information with workers to determine what types of hazards may be present and which workers may be exposed or potentially exposed. The information available in the workplace may include equipment and machinery operating manuals, safety data sheets, SDS, provided by chemical manufacturers, with the new designation that is only SDS, safety data sheet, self-inspection reports and inspection reports from insurance carriers, government agencies, and consultants, records of previous injuries and illnesses, such as OSHA 300 and 301 logs and reports of incident investigations, workers' compensation records and reports, patterns of frequently occurring injuries and illnesses, exposure monitoring results, industrial hygiene assessments, and medical records, appropriately redacted to ensure patient/worker privacy. Existing safety and health programs, lockout/tagout, confined spaces, process safety management, personal protective equipment, etc. Input from workers, including surveys or minutes from safety and health committee meetings. Results of job hazard analyses, also known as job safety analyses. Information about hazards may be available from outside sources, such as OSHA, National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, websites, publications, and alerts. Trade associations, labor unions, state and local occupational safety and health committees/coalitions, COSH groups, and worker advocacy groups. Safety and health consultants.
Number 2. Inspect the workplace for safety hazards.
Hazards can be introduced over time as workstations and processes change, equipment or tools become worn, maintenance is neglected, or housekeeping practices decline. Setting aside time to regularly inspect the workplace for hazards can help identify shortcomings so that they can be addressed before an incident occurs. You need to conduct regular inspections of all operations, equipment, work areas, and facilities. Have workers participate on the inspection team and talk to them about hazards that they see or report. Be sure to document inspections so you can later verify that hazardous conditions are corrected. Take photos or videos of problem areas to facilitate later discussion and brainstorming about how to control them, and for use as learning aids. Include all areas and activities in these inspections, such as storage and warehousing, facility and equipment maintenance, purchasing and office functions, and the activities of on-site contractors, subcontractors, and temporary employees.
Regularly inspect both plant vehicles,
For example,
forklifts, powered industrial trucks, and transportation vehicles,
for example,
cars, trucks.
use checklists that highlight things to look for. Typical hazards fall into several major categories. Each workplace will have its own list. For example, general housekeeping, slip, trip, and fall hazards, electrical hazards, equipment operation, equipment maintenance, fire protection, work organization and process flow, including staffing and scheduling, work practices, workplace violence, ergonomic problems, lack of emergency procedures. Before changing operations, workstations, or workflow, making major organizational changes, or introducing new equipment, materials, or processes, seek the input of workers and evaluate the planned changes for potential hazards and related risks.
Number 3. Identify health hazards.
Identifying workers' exposure to health hazards is typically more complex than identifying physical safety hazards. For example, gases and vapors may be invisible, often have no odor, and may not have an immediately noticeable harmful health effect. Health hazards include chemical hazards, solvents, adhesives, paints, toxic dust, etc., physical hazards, noise, radiation, heat, etc., biological hazards, infectious diseases, and ergonomic risk factors, heavy lifting, repetitive motions, vibration. Reviewing workers' medical records, appropriately redacted to ensure patient/worker privacy, can be useful in identifying health hazards associated with workplace exposures. Identify chemical hazards. Review SDS and product labels to identify chemicals in your workplace that have low exposure limits, are highly volatile or are used in large quantities or in unventilated spaces. Identify activities that may result in skin exposure to chemicals. Identify physical hazards. Identify any exposures to excessive noise, areas where you must raise your voice to be heard by others, elevated heat, indoor and outdoor, or sources of radiation, radioactive materials, X-rays, or radiofrequency radiation. Identify biological hazards. Determine whether workers may be exposed to sources of infectious diseases, molds, toxic or poisonous plants, or animal materials, fur or scat, capable of causing allergic reactions or occupational asthma. Identify ergonomic risk factors. Examine work activities that require heavy lifting, work above shoulder height, repetitive motions, or tasks with significant vibration. Conduct quantitative exposure assessments when possible, using air sampling or direct reading instruments. Review medical records to identify cases of musculoskeletal injuries, skin irritation or dermatitis, hearing loss, or lung disease that may be related to workplace exposures.
Number 4. Conduct incident investigations.
Workplace incidents including injuries, illnesses, close calls/near misses, and reports of other concerns provide a clear indication of where hazards exist. By thoroughly investigating incidents and reports, you will identify hazards that are likely to cause future harm. The purpose of an investigation must always be to identify the root causes, and there is often more than one, of the incident or concern, in order to prevent future occurrences. You should develop a clear plan and procedure for conducting incident investigations so that an investigation can begin immediately when an incident occurs. The plan should cover items such as: who will be involved, lines of communication, materials, equipment, and supplies needed, reporting forms and templates. Train investigative teams on incident investigation techniques, emphasizing objectivity and open-mindedness throughout the investigation process. Conduct investigations with a trained team that includes representatives of both management and workers. Investigate close calls/near misses. Identify and analyze root causes to address underlying program shortcomings that allowed the incidents to happen. Communicate the results of the investigation to managers, supervisors, and workers to prevent a recurrence. Effective incident investigations do not stop at identifying a single factor that triggered an incident. They ask the questions why and what led to the failure. For example, if a piece of equipment fails, a good investigation asks, why did it fail? Was it maintained properly? Was it beyond its service life? And how could this failure have been prevented? Similarly, a good incident investigation does not stop when it concludes that a worker made an error. It asks such questions as: was the worker provided with appropriate tools in time to do the work? Was the worker adequately trained? And was the worker properly supervised?
Number 5. Identify hazards associated with emergency and non-routine situations.
Emergencies present hazards that need to be recognized and understood. Non-routine or infrequent tasks, including maintenance and startup/shutdown activities, also present potential hazards. Plans and procedures need to be developed for responding appropriately and safely to hazards associated with foreseeable emergency scenarios and non-routine situations. You should identify foreseeable emergency scenarios and non-routine tasks, taking into account the types of material and equipment in use and the location within the facility. Scenarios such as the following may be foreseeable: fires and explosions, chemical releases, hazardous material spills, startups after planned or unplanned equipment shutdowns, non-routine tasks, such as infrequently performed maintenance activities, structural collapse, disease outbreaks, weather emergencies and natural disasters, medical emergencies, workplace violence.
Number 6. Characterize the nature of identified hazards.
Identify interim control measures, and prioritize the hazards for control. The next step is to assess and understand the hazards identified and the types of incidents that could result from worker exposure to those hazards. This information can be used to develop interim controls and to prioritize hazards for permanent control. You should evaluate each hazard by considering the severity of potential outcomes, the likelihood that an event or exposure will occur, and the number of workers who might be exposed. Use interim control measures to protect workers until more permanent solutions can be implemented. Prioritize the hazards so that those presenting the greatest risk are addressed first. Note, however, that employers have an ongoing obligation to control all serious recognized hazards and to protect workers.
We hope this video helps you to improve your knowledge regarding hazard identification and assessment and help to improve your site. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments section below, and we are happy to help you. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Check our channel for more health, safety, and environmental topics. The link is in the description. Never forget health, safety, and the environment are your responsibility. Stay safe always. Bye bye, see you in the next video.